I had it on mine as well, so I think it was echoing a lot. Okay, I think we're good. Hello. I'm hoping most people are on. Yes, it does show that we have people in the on the YouTube link. So I think we'll get started, and this will be recorded as well. So it will be available on our four-year planning on the same link that the YouTube link is on. So welcome, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to go over how to create a four-year plan and a little bit over the course request process as we just started on Friday. So we want to make sure that all families are aware and have access to all the materials that are available to everyone on our website. So I have our entire counseling team here joining us. So I'd like to welcome everybody and introduce everyone. I am Vanessa Ho. I am one of the counselors here at Westview. And then I will have everyone else just unmute themselves and say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mrs. Cudmore. I'm obviously one of the counselors here as well. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm Miss Berner, and I am with alphabet A through FEL. So welcome to our four-year planning night.
Hello, I am Mrs. Ramirez, and I work with students LIN through ROG. Hope you guys have a great evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Mata, and I work with students in a capacity of intervention and also career technical education courses. Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. So we'll get started with our four-year plan presentation. So our agenda for today, we are going to go over some of the Westview terminology in the 4x4 schedule. I know we tend to use a lot of these terms, and we talk about the four-year plan or the 4x4 and some of the Westview terminology in a way that we sometimes forget that not everyone is familiar with our lingo. So we're going to go over some of that. We will also go over your college and graduation requirements, understanding how to review your course credits and course history, and then also how to create a four-year plan, as well as some of the course selection resources that we have available for you for this coming year. So let's get started. What is a term versus a quarter? This tends to be one of our biggest questions that we get when it comes to families. Students seem to know it, somehow they know what we're talking about, but inevitably every year we always have the same conversation with families around, you say semester, you say term, quarter, so we're going to try and set that straight a little bit. So in our academic school year, which runs typically from August to June, it's broken up into two things that we call terms. In a lot of schools, you call them semesters, but typically we call them terms. In each term, students take a set of up to 4 classes, 3 to 4 classes typically. And then they change their classes the next term, typically for most students, depending on their classes. Within each term, you also have quarters. The quarters are where grades are given. So for instance, if a student takes English 1-2 in term 1, they will get a grade for English 1, and then they'll get another grade for English 2. Same is true for quarters 3 and 4. Within term 2, you get a grade for the first quarter for quarter 3, and you get a grade for quarter 4. Each class in each quarter earns 5 credits. So depending on how many classes you take, you have the potential to earn up to 80 credits throughout the whole school year. So if a student had a full schedule of 4 classes, they would earn 20 credits in quarter 1, 20 credits in quarter 2, 3 and 4, up to 80 credits. If a student had an off roll the whole year, they would have 60 credits throughout the whole school year. Okay. So again, in regards to earning credits, each one of our classes that is in one of the periods 1, 2, 3, 4, typically earn 5 credits each quarter. So each class is worth 10 credits. Each for a minimum schedule, so if a student had an off roll all school year, they would earn up to 60 credits. And if they had a full schedule, 80 credits. So in order to graduate, students have to earn 230 credits in various subject areas. So as you can see, in the minimum schedule scenario, you still earn more than 230 credits. And in a full schedule of having 4 classes each year, students earn an extra 90 credits. So what do you do with those extra credits? You take all your graduation and college requirements. And then you also explore different interests as well. So this is our graduation and A through G requirement chart. I tend to like to point out the differences between the two requirements. One of the biggest differences is in the math area. So we use the UC and CSU admissions requirements. They're called the A through G requirements as our base for college admissions, as many of our students do attend a California public university. But we also do like to couch that with every college has different requirements outside of the UC and CSU system. So it's important that if you are looking outside of those schools to look at the requirements for each of those schools. As every year we find more and more schools have different requirements. They might have more, they might have less, but it's always important for students as they're doing their research to also look at their admissions requirements for different colleges. So one of the big differences is with math. Math does require you to have 3 years for A through G requirements. And it really means that you have to have at least integrated math 3. And I'll talk about what that could look like for students, what the 3 years or 4 recommended might look like on one of the next slides. So that's a little bit different from our graduation requirements. Another thing that is different is our language other than English. It is required for college admissions for most colleges and universities, but it's not required for graduation requirements. So students do need to get to at least the 3-4 level of a language other than English. In addition, students both need to take electives to graduate as well as at least a college prep elective. And there's specific courses that are college prep electives exclusively. But really, if students take more than the minimum required in any of the A through F requirements for college, they will satisfy that college prep elective. It will count towards the college prep elective. The same is true for our elective credits. Students don't necessarily have to take elective classes specifically. They can take extra classes in any of the above areas, and those would count towards elective credits as well. One other thing that I like to point out is that our exercise nutritional science, all of our 9th graders take ENS 1 through 4. That actually earns them 5 credits of health, which they all need to graduate, as well as 15 credits of PE. The PE, they still need 20 more or 5 more credits of PE. So most of our students will take a physical education class at some point throughout their high school career. We always encourage them to put it into their schedule where they might have their most rigorous year, because it helps to lighten their load a little bit and not have another class that they're going to have a lot of homework or a lot of assignments for. So it's actually physical education classes can be a great way to create some space in their schedule and some time in their day to get some physical exercise. In addition, all of the courses in the A through G requirements do need to be passed with a C or better. If students earn a D or an F in the class, they do need to repeat it in order for it to count towards meeting those requirements. Okay, moving on. So when a student takes a higher level math or world language course, the colleges and universities will recognize the highest level as meeting the equivalent of that number of years. So what that means, because I know that might sound like it's a mouthful, it's a lot to say. For example, if a student takes integrated math 1 in 8th grade, for instance, and then in 9th grade, they take integrated math 2, 10th grade, they take integrated math 3, and then in 11th, they take pre-calculus and AP calculus, this actually will equate to 5 years of math. Even though in high school, they technically only took 1, 2, 3, 4 math classes, it's whatever the highest level course was. So the assumption is, even if a student took AP calculus in 9th grade, the assumption is that they have the knowledge of all 4 previous years of that class, of the math classes preceding it. So that would still equate to 5 math classes. So we always get that question as to, we always get the question, especially in regards to the world language, where students may have taken a language prior to high school and then took only the highest level classes in high school. Whatever the highest level is, that counts as that equivalent number of years. So this example of Spanish would equate to 6 years of language other than English. Okay. And many colleges do have questions on their application that does ask them for any courses that they took prior to starting high school. So they would be able to indicate that they had taken a certain number of math or language other than English courses prior to starting high school in their application. And also, just as a reminder, all of these slides will be available on our website for you to view later, and it has clickable links and everything as well. So what's on the transcript? With this year, typically when we do our course request process, we do hand all students a transcript. This year, because we are virtual, we are more or less walking them through how to look at their courses, their course history, and all their credit summaries online. So that's what I'm going to do with you now. The things that are included on a transcript include their course history, what is in progress, their credit summary, as well as their GPA. It does not include any test scores, progress report grades, or any classes taken in middle school as well. At Westview, we do, in Poway Unified, we actually do not rank students, so you will not see a class rank, and that's not provided to colleges when they are doing their college applications either. So when you are on Student View or on Synergy, we were having discussion what people actually call it, but if you were on Synergy or Parent View, you would be able to see the course history tab on the left-hand side. And this is typically what I think a 9th grade students might look like. You would see a bar graph with all of the graduation subject areas. And then the green is for the number of credits completed. Yellow is for what's in progress. And the gray is what still needs to be completed. You'll also see their GPA on the right-hand side. And just a quick note on that, your GPA is actually, there's 4 different GPAs. I would say don't worry so much about the Cal Grant one at this point. That is more applicable when they're seniors, and it takes specific grade levels and looks at specific classes that are sent then to the state for eligibility for grant status for colleges, for college financial aid. The eligibility GPA is what we use. We look at every single grade that students have on their transcript, and that's what's used for athletics and determining students' eligibility for sports. Now, the academic GPA it takes all classes except for our physical education classes and our service classes. Service classes being, for instance, ASB or academic tutor. And it weights those classes that are AP courses, which means if a student got an A in an AP course, it actually is worth 5 points versus 4 points in our with our college preparatory classes. So it takes all of those classes and it calculates it with that extra weight. The unweighted GPA looks at the same classes, so it does not include the physical education or the service classes, but it does not count the weight in it from any AP courses that are counted. And then in addition, at the bottom of, sorry, now that I moved my cursor, the toolbar came up, but at the bottom of the screenshot, you can see where it says student course history, and there's a toggle button that says detail on or off. And you would put on, and you can see all of the student courses from middle school as well as from high school, and you can filter it to just look at high school classes that they have taken. And you can see every single grade and every single class that they have earned grades for. If, for instance, a student is taking an AP class this year and is going to take an AP exam and potentially might earn a grade bump next year on that particular class, this is where you would want to check to see if that grade bump has actually occurred. So a lot of times students will email us and ask us if it has been changed. You can actually check that on your own from this particular page on Synergy. In addition, let me go back really quick. So if you click on this toggle button here where it says detail, you'll actually go to a screen that looks like this right below it. This table will pull up right below it, and it will show the same bar graph with the green and yellow and gray, but just in a table format. So if this is what it looks like on a transcript, so if you're more familiar with what it looks like on a transcript, this would be much more suitable for you to look at. It shows it exactly the same way where it shows all the graduation subject area requirements, how many credits are required for that area, what has been completed at this point, what's currently in progress, and then what is still remaining. So this is the remaining column is a really great place to start when you look at what classes to select for next year, because it will help in guiding those decisions as to whether I take a physical science or a fine art or any of the other requirements that I need. Okay, Ms. Cudmore.
All right. Hello, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about developing a 4-year plan. Obviously, most of you that are here tonight are here to learn about how to fill out that 4-year plan form. We have copies of it available on our website, also in our counseling Canvas class, and the course registration newsletter that's going to be sent home to your students as well. All of those resources are available on several pages, our Westview website as well as our Counseling Canvas class. So if your student has a 4-year plan and they've already filled it out, they can take a look back at it, make any changes, or if they're just in the beginning stages of filling it out, they can start from scratch. We have 2 versions. One is a completely blank version, and the other one has some of the required classes by grade level pre-populated on there. So it kind of helps walk you through that. So on the 4-year plan, sorry, Vanessa, I think you have to click through the screen.
1 second. I am trying to, it might not be on YouTube. Let me check. Hold on. Oh, but go ahead, continue with your.
Okay. So the grade level requirements are the classes that you'll want to fill in first. So each grade has specific classes that are required. So 9th grade, there are 4 classes that are required. So students have to have an English class, they have to have a math class, they're required to take ENS 1, 2, and 3, 4. 3, 4 can be you can take that, instead of taking ENS 3-4, you can actually meet the requirement with ROTC or marching band. So there are some variations with ENS 3-4, but all freshmen are required to take ENS 1-2. So you would start by filling in, at this point, you don't necessarily know which term the classes are going to be, but as long as you put them in there and plan for your 8 classes, 6, 7, or 8 classes for the year, they may switch between the terms, but you can start filling in which classes you're planning to take for that year. So that 9th grade year has those 4 required classes. Those are the ones that you would want to fill in first. The 10th grade year, there's 3 required classes. So we have English, world history, and math. So English, there are 2 choices, English 3-4 or honors humanities 1-2. World history is required as well. There is a full year AP European history class combined with honors world history. That's an option as well. That does go both terms. The world history 1-2 class would be 1 term. And then math is the other required class. So you're required to have a math class in 10th grade. It's different for everyone based on your math level, you know, what you've taken in 8th grade, 9th grade, and moving forward. So some students will take more than 1 math class in the school year, but you at least have to have 1 in freshman year and 1 in sophomore year in 10th grade. 11th grade, there's 2 required classes. So your English class again, which would be American Lit or Honors American Lit, and then your history class. So US history is the required class for 11th grade. There is an AP version, which is the AP US history. It's combined with Honors American Lit. So that's a full year course. It meets your English and your history requirements. So as you can see, there's different versions of the different classes, different levels of the different classes, but the subject areas are required for those specific grade levels. And then in 12th grade, again, there's 2 required classes. It's your English class and civics and economics. And there's a variety of English courses offered for 12th grade. So there's some options to choose from. And then for civics and econ, you can either take a 1-term course or you can take the full year AP government course. So you'd want to start by filling in the classes that are those required classes. Okay, can you jump to the next screen? Thank you. So after you've got the required classes in there, there are additional classes required to graduate. So those were the grade level specific classes. The additional classes required to graduate are listed here, and they can be in any specific grade level. You don't have to take them in a certain order or certain grade level. So at some point you need to have a biological science, and at some point you need to have a physical science. So you can plug those in, again, any grade level that you want to plug those in. Fine art is also required for graduation as well as for college admissions. And so again, not grade level specific, you can plug in a fine art class in any grade level during high school. And then the ENS credits are also required. So the ENS 1, 2, 3, 4 is already on there. And then you need 5 more credits of PE at some point. So 1 more PE class, it can be 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. You can fill that in at any time. Okay. If you can click to the next screen, thank you. Additional requirements to meet college admissions. So we've got your grade level required classes already on there. We have your additional graduation requirement classes on there. And now we're looking to add in additional requirements for admissions to college. So foreign language, that would be 20 credits, 2 language classes, the 1, 2, and 3, 4 level. You would want to put those in. We recommend you do those in consecutive terms. So once you start language, continue through the sequence. So it's good to do them in the same school year. You could do 1, 2 in term 1, and then 3, 4 in term 2. And then math credits, any additional math credits. So 30 credits of math, again, required for graduation. So we already have 20 credits on there. We have your math 9th grade and 10th grade, and then you would add an additional math class. So the integrated 1, 2, and 3 is the minimum requirement for admissions to college. They do recommend 4 years, so it's good to have that extra year if you can fit that into your schedule at some point. And then science, we have your biological science and your physical science already on there because those were graduation requirements. Again, the colleges recommend a 3rd year. So if you can fit that additional science class in, that's good to put in there as well. Thank you. So then you have your open spots that are left that you can fill in however you would like to fill in. So if you need off roll in your schedule, could be for athletics, it could be for work, transportation issues. It could be just because you're taking a really challenging schedule and you want to have 3 classes to focus on instead of 4. So you can have an off roll at the same time you're taking some challenging classes. So you can fill those in as well. If you're involved in any other programs, AVID, band, ROTC, journalism yearbook, or we have a variety of programs. Make sure that you're filling those in. We always recommend you do this in pencil, or if you're doing it virtually or online, you can always move things around too. It's good because sometimes you start filling things in and then you realize, oh wait, I wanted to take this class here instead, and then you can move things around if they're not the grade level specific classes. If you have any interest in a specific subject area, you can always take additional classes in that subject area. If that's a particular strength for you, you can take more than the minimum. And then I mentioned this before, we highly recommend that you take language classes back to back in direct sequence through the terms until you get to the highest level that you want to get to. Some of our language courses are only offered in a specific term. So if you don't do them back to back, you might have a gap in between when you take the 1, 2, and then the 3, 4 level. So just taking a look at that and seeing how you can take those classes consecutively in back-to-back terms. All of the classes on here, besides the off rolls, will count as elective credits. So it adds up pretty quickly when you're taking a lot of classes. You add up to your 85 elective credits pretty quickly. Okay. So this is the other portion of the 4-year plan where you can fill in your either the grades that you received. So if you've already completed some of these classes, you can put in the grade that you received if you got an A, B, C in the class, or you can put the grade level in. So if you're planning that course, we know every year English is required. So you're going to have 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade. Math, same thing, 9th and 10th grade is required. And then you'll probably go on to take additional math classes. Anything that's in the gray box is the graduation requirement. Anything that's in the white area is actually additional elective credits. So anything that you see in that white area counts in that elective section down towards the bottom where it says 85 credits. So some of those X's that are on there are counting the classes from above, maybe from the math or the foreign language credits. Okay, Mrs. Ho, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry, we are having technical difficulties with the live streaming to YouTube, so we apologize for that. This, in case anyone is joining us from attempting to join the YouTube channel, but is now jumping onto Zoom, the whole entire presentation is recorded on a different YouTube link. Unfortunately, the wrong one was shared in the message, so it will be posted again. So I apologize for that. Okay, so Thank you, Ms. Cudmore, for going over all the four-year plan information and how to create one. And one of the things we really want to reinforce is that balance is incredibly important. And I love this quote because it's not something you find, it's something you create. And part of creating a four-year plan is creating one that has balance, as well as all the things that we know are important for our students, including rigor and curiosity and interest and things that they're passionate about. But it is important that that they're not being overloaded, that they're not taking on more than they're ready for at that moment. So I think everyone has the ability and are capable to do all of the things that they want to do. It's just a matter of timing and the moment that we're in right now. So it's also important that we look at what our students are saying. So I believe it was last year, potentially the year before, we surveyed our students and asked them, we do this every year, and asked them, one of the questions we asked is whether or not they were stressed or feeling stressed. And 78% of our students did indicate that they were stressed. When we asked them why, they said this. 78% of them said that it was because of college admissions. They were nervous about getting into college. 70% were worried about finding a job. 67% uncertainty of their future. 67% they didn't have enough time, and then 62% was that they felt like their parents set really high expectations for them. And as a parent, I know we do set high expectations for our children, and I believe we all know none of us want to stress our kids out. And unfortunately, all of the things that they see in the world, with people being so much harder to get into college, with uncertainty of the career of their potential careers in the future. All those things just add to their stress. And so helping and creating the four-year plan, helping them find balance is really an important component of trying to lessen their stress and to help normalize that all of these things are things absolutely that they should be a little bit concerned about, but also that they need to do the best that they can possibly do, and focus on themselves and not what everyone else around them is doing as well. So how do we create balance? So assessing how much homework you have for each class. And we do this, like I said earlier, this presentation will be available for everyone to click on, because these do have hyperlinks to things. This is a homework assessment we had done for students, where we surveyed them and asked them how much time were they spending on their various classes. This is a bit dated. It's been a few years since we've done this again. But it does show you how much time students are saying that they're spending in particular classes. So as students are trying to pick out their classes for next year, we really want to encourage them to look at that and see, do you have the time to actually do the work for all of those classes in your week? And then, do you have other commitments? Do you also have sports or a job or family commitments? And so do you need an off roll? Do you need more time in your schedule to really be able to fulfill all your commitments and obligations? And then we also encourage students to use a weekly or a monthly calendar, and that can help them create that time and that balance. Sometimes I think when we get overwhelmed and we have so much on our plate, it's important to really be able to spread those things out throughout the week and see where we can attack those things and really try to do all of our to-dos. Also, it's important, I had this conversation with a parent this week about what AP class should my student take. And it really is heavily driven by their interests. So they should be pursuing classes and activities that they're actually passionate about, or that they think they might be passionate about. We know that not all high school students have found their passions, which is absolutely fine, but this is time for them to start discovering some of that and finding some interest. So that includes their classes that they're taking. So there's not a specific list of AP courses or certain AP courses that are good, that are easier than others. I always say the easiest AP class is the one that you're most interested in. So that should really be driving students' decisions on classes and what they want to take beyond what they're required to take. And we have, and this is another link to one of our many course selection resources. It's one of our course profiles. It lists a bunch of different classes with links to podcasts, videos, handouts, resources for students to look at as they decide which classes they want to take next year. In addition, building their skills. So gradually increasing their academic rigor. You can't go to the gym and start lifting 200 pounds. You have to work up to that. So, just like we would with students, a lot of students tend to, after 9th grade, jump into 2, maybe even 3 AP classes in 10th grade. And we highly discourage that, especially considering that in ninth grade, students have very limited, they tend to take less advanced courses. And so we would want them to gradually increase their load. See how much, maybe if they took one AP class in 10th grade, see how did you fare? Did you do well? Was that enough? Was it too easy? Was it too hard? Did you have time for all of your commitments? And then from there in junior year, looking at, does that, could you increase or do you need to decrease your load? Rather than focusing on a number or a specific class that you have to take, really looking at increasing things as we would with anything else. And we really encourage students to take the recommended courses to prepare for those challenging classes. For instance, we know that chemistry is something that is recommended for students to take prior to taking AP Bio. When students go into AP Bio without having had that recommended course, they really struggle in the beginning. And so we really use the course catalog and some of the other resources that teachers provide that really stress those recommended courses that students should take, because it's not there to be a barrier to students accessing classes. It's really there to help students successfully access those classes. And why is this all important? Because we want students to have options to them after high school. Whether those options are going to a four-year college, community college, a job, to vocational school, to the military, whatever it is, we want them to have options. We want students, when they get to senior year, to look at a plethora of things around them that they can choose from, rather than feeling like they only have one option or two. So if we were in person, I'd play this game with you and I really have fun playing it. But we try to make things a little more interactive. But these are 5 different criteria that college admissions looks at. So from a NACAC survey asking college admissions officers, ranking what they thought was the most important aspects of college admissions, I want you to look at these different things: essays, strength of curriculum, extracurricular activities, admissions test scores, grades in their courses, and think, what do you think is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth? And these aren't necessarily the first, but what do you think, where do you think they all rank? And I'm going to put up the numbers so you can see. So the first is obviously the grades in their classes. And part of this is closely tied to what comes up after that, which is strength of curriculum. While both of these things are very important, if you had really strong curriculum, but your grades aren't strong, the grades are the most important piece of it. So it's a balance. It's finding that balance between having strong grades and having rigorous course load. And so beyond that, their test scores tend to be a factor. Obviously with COVID, testing has become an issue, so I wouldn't worry too much about that right now. Essays and their extracurriculars are next. So all of these things are important in college admissions, but what I always like to stress out is just the part of how the grades and strength of curriculum work together. You want students to have strong grades, but you also want them to have rigor. So finding that balance between the two, because if they have rigor, but they don't have the strong grades, that's not going to be to their benefit either. And then we have what factors are most important in college admissions. This is the 2018-19 survey, and it just shows some of the other components that are important for that too. And like I said, this presentation will be available for you to view at a later, after our presentation. So this is another game I like to play. It's much more exciting when there's people yelling names out to me. But these are 5 different students. They're actual Westview students, no names attached. I just took their GPAs, their SAT scores, and how many AP classes they took. And then these are 5, right? Okay, 5 of the colleges that they had attended. So while they may have gotten into other schools, these are where they actually attended. So you might already have some guesses. You might be looking at it thinking, okay, that's where that student went. That's probably where they went. That's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of think, where do you think some of these students went? And I'm going to show you where they did. So the first student on the top left, they ended up attending Miramar College. And the reason I like this particular data point is that community colleges are a great opportunity, especially right now, because they are free for the first 2 years after you exit high school. And for the student, they may have had financial reasons for attending. They may have not wanted to leave home so soon. They may have not gotten into their first choice of college and decided, well, I'm going to take my time and attend the community college, maybe save up money, and then apply again in 2 years once I had completed my general education requirements. So there is the stigma around community colleges that I think is really undeserved. They're a great opportunity for so many of our students, and it doesn't matter what your GPA is. If anything, you'll be more successful there if you have a high GPA and you've taken rigorous courses, because you'll be even more prepared to do what you want there and be successful and move on to wherever you choose to transfer after that. The next student attended Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. The following one attended USC. Another one on the bottom attended SDSU, and the other is UCSD. So I'm sure some of these you probably guessed in your head. They are the California State Universities do, especially San Diego State and Cal Poly SLO, they actually admit by college. So while I didn't have the information as to what college these particular students attended or what major they ended up attending those schools for, those two particular colleges do admit specifically by major. And then we have a private school, very exclusive private school, as well as one of our harder to get into UC campuses here. So these are Westview students. These are, they're real examples of what some of this is. But at the same time, these are also averages. So there are students who have lower GPAs, lower SAT scores, because it is a holistic review for many of these colleges. They're not just looking at a GPA or SAT score. They're also looking at their stories and their extracurriculars and their experiences as well throughout high school. Okay, so our course request process has started. We went into 9th grade classrooms on Friday with Link Crew. We joined them and were able to present to them. Today, we did all our 10th grade students. Thursday, we will be presenting to our 11th grade students, and then we will start opening up all of our appointments for families to make appointments with counselors. We have drop-in times for students during office hours and lunch, Monday through Thursday. And we are having this parent night right now. And our course selection window opens on February 19th, and it closes on March 5th. So you'll have about 2 weeks to select your courses in Synergy. Let me think what else. You don't need to lock your courses, or I had a student today ask me, do I need to be the first one to select my courses? No, please take your time, be thoughtful on what you select, because we do build our schedule off of what students select right now for next year. We have a ton of online resources. We have our Counseling Canvas class does have a link to it that directs you directly to our Westview course registration resources. This Westview resources page does have all of the links for counseling appointments. We are limiting them to 10-minute appointments because we want to try and have as many appointments as possible with families. And just to review, answer any quick questions you have, look over anything that you would like us to look over. And then we do, like I said, have those drop-in appointments for students during lunch and office hours. I was telling students today that I tend to sit there and stare at myself on Zoom and just hope that someone comes and joins me. So please encourage your students to come answer questions during that time. On our counseling website as well, we do have a lot of information. I really highly encourage students and families to check out our course offerings and profiles link, because it offers so many things that teachers have put a lot of time and energy into updating with syllabi. We have podcasts that our student peer counselors had collected from teachers last year. Also video links and other handouts that teachers have provided for us. And thank you. That is the end of our presentation. If you have time, we would greatly appreciate it if you could go to this link and fill out a quick survey to tell us how we can improve, because we do take your feedback, and really it's very important for us to make sure that we are meeting your needs and trying to provide you all the information you need, especially for this process, because it's very important that your students pick the right classes for their high school career. So if you do have any questions and you're in the Zoom, Ms. Berner is collecting any questions, and she's been answering them in the chat, I see. But if there's anything, Ms. Berner, that you want me to answer out loud, or you would like to answer out loud, please feel free.
No, I think we're good. The very few chats coming in. Just the one clarification is students who do play a sport with Westview. We do have a PE exemption or a PE waiver form. They just can't do it during their 9th grade year. And we ask that they do it in 10th or 11th grade and not wait for senior year.
And it doesn't, there's been a misconception that it's for varsity sports only. It is for any team sport that, yeah. So we do encourage for sure 10th and 11th grade. Okay.
All right.
Was there, Mrs. Ho, for any of the families who maybe joined a little bit late, do you have a place where this will be posted that they can go back and see the first portion of the presentation?
I sure will. I can actually, I'll post it right now in our chat for anyone who has joined here. And then I will also put it in on our counseling website under presentations. We do have it linked. We will have it linked there to this YouTube. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry. I apologize. It went to the wrong YouTube link for some reason, and so I will make sure that goes to the right place this time.
We had about, between the two links, we had about half and half. So we got half of the people that were looking for it. So we'll definitely send it out.
Yes, and I'll send a message out to on my Connect tomorrow with the link to the correct YouTube video to watch. And apologize to everyone. I'm so sorry. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you all have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.